In the heart of the sleepy town of Willowbrook, nestled among towering oaks and surrounded by a shroud of mist, stood a decrepit mansion known as Hollow House. For generations, the mansion had stood empty and shunned by the townsfolk, its sinister reputation deterring any potential buyers. Local legends spoke of a malevolent spirit that haunted its darkened corridors, a spirit that craved the souls of the living. As autumn's chill settled over the town, a young couple, Sarah and David, arrived in Willowbrook in search of a new beginning. They had heard the tales of Hollow House but dismissed them as mere superstition. The price was too tempting, and the allure of the grand, albeit eerie, mansion proved irresistible to the newlyweds. They moved in with a sense of excitement and trepidation, determined to restore the mansion to its former glory. But as they crossed the threshold, a bone-chilling gust of wind seemed to greet them, and they couldn't shake the feeling that they were not alone. The first night in Hollow House passed uneventfully, and Sarah and David tried to convince themselves that the stories were just that, stories. But as the days turned into weeks, strange occurrences began to haunt their nights. Whispering voices echoed through the corridors, their words incomprehensible but filled with a sinister urgency. One evening, Sarah was alone in the dimly lit library, surrounded by dusty tomes and flickering candles. She felt a presence behind her, a cold breath on her neck, and the sensation of icy fingers tracing her spine. When she turned, there was nothing there but the flickering shadows. David dismissed her claims, attributing them to stress and their unfamiliar surroundings. But soon, he too began to experience the unexplainable. In the dead of night, he would hear the sound of footsteps echoing through the hallways, growing closer and closer, yet when he would investigate, there would be nothing but silence and darkness. The couple's sleepless nights took a toll on their once happy marriage. Arguments became the norm as they struggled to explain the inexplicable. One evening, in a fit of frustration, David decided to confront whatever presence haunted their home. Armed with a flashlight and determination, he ventured into the basement, the darkest, most foreboding part of Hollow House. The basement was a labyrinth of narrow corridors and hidden chambers, illuminated only by David's flashlight. As he explored, he could feel the oppressive weight of the mansion pressing down on him, as though it wanted to keep its secrets buried forever. In one of the hidden chambers, he discovered a collection of old photographs, each showing different families who had lived in Hollow House over the years. One photo, in particular, caught his attention, an image of a man and a woman, their faces twisted in agony, standing in front of the mansion. The couple looked hauntingly familiar. Suddenly, a cold wind rushed through the chamber, extinguishing David's flashlight. Panic set in as he fumbled to relight it, but when the beam of light pierced the darkness once more, the room was empty. Only the photograph remained, and the eerie feeling that he was being watched. David rushed back upstairs, his heart pounding, and shared his discovery with Sarah. Together, they began to piece together the history of Hollow House. It was a house that had claimed the lives of its inhabitants, one by one, driving them to madness and despair. Determined to break the cycle, Sarah and David delved deeper into the history of the mansion. They learned that it had been built on an ancient burial ground, a place of great sorrow and suffering. It was said that the malevolent spirit that now haunted the house was the vengeful soul of a man who had lost everything and sought to claim the lives of those who dared to enter his domain. Armed with this knowledge, Sarah and David embarked on a perilous journey to free Hollow House from its curse. They performed rituals and cleansings, attempting to appease the restless spirit. But with each attempt, the hauntings grew more intense, and the malevolent presence more enraged. One fateful night, as the couple lay in bed, they heard the anguished cries of the vengeful spirit, echoing through the mansion. The very walls seemed to tremble with his fury. Sarah and David clung to each other, their terror mounting as the room filled with an icy chill. And then, in the darkness, they saw him, the apparition of a man, his face twisted in agony, his eyes burning with hatred. He reached out towards them, his spectral hand passing through their bodies, chilling them to their very souls. In that moment, Sarah and David understood the truth. The spirit of Hollow House would never be appeased. It was a malevolent force, bound to the mansion for eternity, and they were its latest victims. As the spirit's cries grew louder, Sarah and David huddled together, knowing that they would never escape the horrors of Hollow House. The malevolent presence had claimed them, and they would join the ranks of the lost souls who had dared to call the mansion home. And so, the legend of Hollow House lived on, a cautionary tale for those who dared to seek refuge within its cursed walls. The malevolent spirit continued to haunt the mansion, its hunger for souls insatiable, and the town of Willowbrook remained forever changed by the darkness that lurked within its heart.